known Jay for 20 plus years and have grown to love him deeply. So much so that we moved in together in Lakeville, and he lives across the street. I live on the other side of the street, and another dear friend lives next door. And as we have grown our friendship, we have learned to trust the Lord together and encouraged one another, and that encouragement was immense. And it has included others along the way as well, and so much so that as we got together and did Bible study, we got to the point where one guy had a thought and Jay lit the match and got things going for Honduras. So much so that he let his family down there and came back and said, "Guys, I've got to share this with you." And that was the start of a very inspiring ministry that includes so many of you that are here right now. Those that have prayed, those that have served meals, those that have done garage sales. This ministry has been immense, and so much more. It's so much more than Honduras. It's about being with people and about lives well lived, about changing people to love the Lord and learning to love the Lord with people as well. I'm standing here. I feel I have a need to explain why I'm in a skirt.
That's not your normal dress?
Yeah, no, this is not how I normally dress. Had it been up to me, I would have been in a suit and tie with many of the other men here. But my friend Jay has a great sense of humor. He has a great passion for bagpipes, which we were able to enjoy upstairs. In addition, he was very moved by a movie, Rob Roy, and Braveheart. And we shared that joy together, and even before that, Jay explained his passion for kilts and Scotland and all this kind of stuff. And I remember when he and Susie early on went on a trip, and Jay wanted to buy a kilt, and it just wasn't in the budget at the time. Yeah, and then it got to the point where Susie's reminded me that he wanted to rent it and just walk around and walk around. And so as we kind of encouraged one another, we made a commitment to one another, a promise. And that promise was whoever dies first, the other guy has to wear a kilt. And so this is in honor of my friend Jay, and he's worth keeping a promise to, because I know he would have kept his promise. And so I'm proud to be here in a skirt, and it's also encouraging to have friends that can lead you in places where you've never been before. I've never been in a skirt before. This is one of those views that I will remember, like so many others, where Jay had this ability to draw me out. I am introverted by nature, and he has had me in places where I've been in fear for my life. I don't like heights, but I've been in high places with Jay. I've had views that I would have never otherwise had with Jay. Experiences that mean so much to me. And my guess is many in this room could say the same thing, that they have experienced things well beyond themselves. I see Keith out there thinking about his experience of being on the side of the road where they had to leave him on the side of the mountain, where he was totally exhausted. And there's many, many stories out there. And so this is my tribute to Jay. It's also fun to have people that hold you accountable, so that the things that you that come out of your mouth, like a silly promise, yes, I will wear a kilt, when other people are aware of that, they help you keep that promise. And so I want to thank Kim Olson, who helped me with this entire, and it's not a joke, it's truly, it was a love thing, where Allison spoke up and said, hey, you know, Mr. Kicks, this means that you're wearing a kilt. And Kim was on it, and she not only organized a kilt for me, she found a bagpiper as well. And so I want to just communicate how thankful I am to be part of this community. And it's not just Jay, it's Christ in Jay that's so attractive. And I'm sure that can be said about many of us here, that it's not you, but it's Christ in you. And thank God for that. So it's with this that I stop and invite the next person up to share a story about Jay, or just what you're feeling. So this is an open mic. This is a time to be with each other, and this is good. And so we're going to celebrate today, and we're going to honor today. It's a good day for the Substad family to recognize a life well led. And thank you for being here with us to celebrate. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Frank Carlson, and it was a privilege for me to be one of Jay's closest friends and doing life together. I wrote some things down because it might get messy and I might kind of lose it, but maybe I don't have to look at the notes so much. As I reflected on what to share about Jay and to think about what I wanted to share you is, I mean, I knew Jay very well, and you know, lots of opportunities, lots of circumstances, kind of to the point of talking about finances and doing all that stuff. And the thing I want to share with you all about Jay is how real he was, and how he touched your life, was consistent with who he was. It wasn't fake. It wasn't. There was no hypocrisy there. There was no skeletons in the closet. How good he was and how he radiated Christ's life. That's honestly how he was. I mean, and I saw it up close. Yes, he had failures like we all do. We confessed sin together. He was aware of that, but the love that he had for Jesus and for all of us was true, genuine love. So I can assure you that. I want to encourage you all with that. One of the reasons my wife and I are in Minnesota is because we were praying about when we were in Chicago after Bethel, moved to Chicago, came back, we're looking for a place to do life, and wanted to connect with folks and grow with them. And so Jay and Susie, my wife was Susie's roommate in college, and we connected with them, and every time we came up here to try to job search and things like that, Jay and Susie were saying, you need to move up here, you need to move up here. In them, they were in answer to prayer. They were the folks that the Lord had as an answer to prayer, that we were going to do life with and be intentional. And so we followed a prompting from the Lord and moved up, and we moved into a place. I remember Jay and Susie were helping us find a place to live. We found this place in Uptown, and at that time, this was pre-El Polito, this was pre-Honduras, and Jay and Susie walked through it with us, and we went out to the car, and they're like, you guys can't move in there, there's like mold in the bathroom, just all over the place, right? Little did they know that, you know, that was a mansion compared to where they would be living in El Polito. So they were the answer to prayer for us, and loved us up, brought us brought us here to this community here and connected us in with other folks who we've done life with. And although some might beg to differ, I don't feel that old, and so when we thought about growing old together, this wasn't what I had in mind, right? I thought it would be a little longer. But I just, again, wanted to share with you that everything that you experienced from Jay and were touched by him, it was real and genuine and of Christ. And so as I was going through some of his, closing up some of the work projects we need to close up and things like that, I came across something that Jay had. And this kind of, I said, this is Jay, you know, the Lawrence kilt, that's Jay, you know, the bagpipes. These things, John Foley's song, you know, all the funny things that we talked about. But this is Jay. This is to me, Jay's life. I admire him. I look up to him. I will surely miss him as we do life. But so on one side of the paper here is Jay's work. You know, it's some bids from subcontractors and some numbers and quotes coming in and things like that. Is it on a blank sheet of paper or in a nice little notebook or no? On the back side, upside down even, are prayers, and I can just see him in his quiet time praying this, thinking this, and then quickly shifting over. It was life, right? It was not, this is who I am on Sunday and this is who I am during the day. It was all together. And so I'll just share with you a prayer that I know that was, that he would be praying often and it was special to him. So he says, Dear Jesus, the title is Radiating Christ. Dear Jesus, help us to spread your fragrance everywhere we go. Flood our souls with your spirit and life. Penetrate and possess our whole being so utterly that our lives may only be a radiance of yours. Shine through us and be in us, that every soul we come in contact with may feel your presence in our soul. Let them look up and see no longer us, but only Jesus. Stay with us, and then we shall begin to shine as you shine. So to shine is to be a light to others, the light of Jesus. Will be all from you. None of it will be ours. It will be you, shining on others through us. Let us thus praise you in the way you love best, by shining on those around us. Let us preach you without preaching, not by words, but by our example, by the catching force, the sympathetic influence of what we do, the evident fullness of the love our heart bears to you. Amen.
The Lord has blessed me, blessed our family with a God-fearing brother. And I just want to, I think back about 10 years ago, I went on the first water project that he led over to Honduras after living there for a period with his family. And I have talked to or seen many from that project in here today. But I just remember the preparation. Jay had not done one of these trips yet, so this is the first time through bringing a water project, a bunch of guys down in Honduras. And we met weekly, early Sunday morning, and we men had many questions of what if the pipes aren't there when we get there? What if we don't finish before we're done? What if, and the what if questions just kept going and going, and all of our concerns were what if somebody gets sick, and what if they don't boil the water right? So our questions were that, and Jay continued to, and I just remember like it was yesterday, and he just continued to point us to Christ and just let that stuff go. And he did it in a humble, kind way, as a brother, as Jay would do. But he did it in a way where, to all of us men, and said, let's trust in the Lord. Jay was concerned about our hearts. He wanted our hearts to be pointed to Christ. He wanted our hearts prepared for the trip, not the logistics prepared for the trips. And it doesn't mean we didn't do logistics and have to figure things out and get plane tickets and whatever, but that was so far behind, and it was, he wanted to lift it up in prayer and say, well, pray about that. Let's pray. Let's look to Christ. So he was concerned about our hearts. I just want to read Isaiah 41:10. It says, Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you, I will help you, and I will uphold you in my righteous right hand. So God was strengthening us. God was our path. He said he will help us, and he did on that trip. And God was faithful beyond measure on that trip.
I just want to share a quick remembrance of Jay. I mean, there are so many here, and Jay is the little kid at home as a brother was always, like I said, just the energy bunny that was constantly going and nonstop at home. So he wore us out long before we left the house, before I went off to college. But just a tremendous a friend in addition to being brother. We had the fortune, Tyler and I, of going with Trent and Burke and Jay and going to Laundry Waters 3 times and doing tremendous, just a great getaway. And Jay, it didn't matter what you're doing at he found God, glorifying God, and what an incredible scenery. We're sitting here and looking out at this, what God has created, and it doesn't get any better, like I say. That was Jay. We get to the portage, and Jay would be the one that would. I wasn't sure how we were going to get the canoes across because I'm getting old, and so Jay had the canoe and a pack in the front and a pack in the back, and all right, he's going, and so. Anytime you start working, you start making dinner around the campfire. What are you doing? What do you need? And he's running to get it, and he can't sit still and watch you work. He's going to be right there with you, doing it with you. And not enough, just a great encouragement, great brother, and not everybody that can say, I think, that their baby brother is a role model. But he was, and an inspiration, and a faithful model. I think as he is, we've heard today, so many of us, but we'll always thank God for him.
Great to see you all here. I wish we were under different positions on Jay's dad. And got in from Thailand on Sunday and got in yesterday, and it was totally miraculous that we got here. But I was going to say, I was home for Thanksgiving and with the whole family. Everybody was there except Gong. She wasn't able to come that time. And just an example, and this happened many, many times, I started complaining to Jay about things going on with the government and the country and stuff like this. And Jay says, Dad, God's in charge. Don't worry about it. I says, you're right. But he's told me that many, many times. When I've had something I can't figure out, he's become my mentor. And people yesterday and today have said, you did a great job of raising him. And I say, he turned out like he did in spite of me. It was God that did it. I won't take credit for it. He's like Todd says, he was my role model. And one of the reasons I wound up in Thailand, trying to emulate his footsteps and do the will of God. So I don't know if I'll ever get over it, losing him. He was, like I say, inspiration of my life, and I love him dearly like I love all my sons. Like I was going to say, he was my favorite son, and then I say, but I got 2 favorite sons left. So, and my daughter is obviously my favorite daughter, my only daughter. But no, I have 3 favorite sons. They're just wonderful sons, and I've thought many times, what would I ever do if I lost one of my sons or daughter? And he says, I wouldn't be able to bear it, And it happened, and God gives us strength to get through it, and we just praise God for the time that we had with him and what he's meant to our lives. And so, thank you all for being here, and God bless you.
I'll say something. I'm Jay's sister. The last year, I had the wonderful opportunity, Jay and Susie and the kids opened their home to me. I had broken my arm and was recovering and was not unable to work, and they as wonderful people that they are, opened their home to me and allowed me to live with them. And Jay had have surgery to reconstruct his collarbone. And so we're both recovering. I had my broken arm and I was recovering from surgery. And in typical Jay fashion, we had to get a tape measure out to see who had the longer scar. He had to show me his x-ray to see how many pins he had versus how many pins I had in my arm. So I can't convey any with words of how amazing Jay, I still can't do past tense, how amazing Jay is as a brother. I am who I am today because of him. I have the faith that I have because of him and Susie and their family and what they did for me the last year. I don't know how we go on without him, because he is my best friend as well as my brother, and it's hard to look at my phone and see his name and not be able to call him and say, Jay, I just had this horrible nightmare that you died. And I wake up and realize that it really is true. So it's amazing to see the magnitude of how many people he affected, and it makes me so proud and honored to have had him as my brother. And he had to one-up me one more time, and he got to have coffee with my mother first. So, thank you.
My wife and I and our kids knew Jay because we lived in Las Mangas for almost a year, and it overlapped with the Substad family for about 5 months a year. And to me, Jay wasn't a superstar. He was just a beautiful, ordinary person. And he was a lot of fun. And I have this surreal memory of Jay. When we moved to El Palito, my family went up there for a week or so. And at some point, about 3 o'clock in the afternoon probably, it was coffee time. And, I'm sorry Larry never really shared this part of our experience. But Jay and I, we knew it. And so here's this surreal thing, because it's been described to you, it's dirt floors, dust. Man, the dust was like this thick. There was just no running water, there was like no electricity. It was just, and then here's Jay. He's got the bag of Starbucks. He's trying to be a little frugal with this. It doesn't run out. And then some guy, some wizened old, sinewy Honduran man. He's probably about 90 and he looks about 60 because he's works hard all his life. We'll come by and he's like, hey, come have coffee. And he's drinking Starbucks up in the middle of nowhere. But their coffee, the coffee they served was, sorry, Gustavo. Anyway, Jay was just, to me, it was just little things like that, just sharing moments where the fellowship went beyond this life. It was just connected in our faith, and it's beautiful.
Is Ann Kay, and I'm sister, and I love Jay like a son, and we had such a special relationship. was so kind and loving and honoring and wonderful to me. And I treasure that. But what I've learned here today and last night is that whether it was an aunt and a nephew or two brothers or a husband and a father, an uncle, a cousin, a friend, a brother working down in Honduras, we all feel the same way about Jay. And Jay instilled that in us, such love of whoever he was with, whenever he was with that person, that I realized, as special as my relationship was with Jay, we all feel that way about Jay. And I know I'll miss him, we all will. And I loved him.
I was privileged to be Jay's friend for 20 years and experienced the love of Christ through him, and no single story could express how much he loved all of you and his family. For the last 10 years, one of my favorite times of the week is 6:30 in the morning on Wednesday morning, and it would be when we meet to kind of try to figure out this Agua Viva thing, and we just say we were just muddling through and trying to figure things out. Early on, a lot of those meetings would be on Jay's porch outside, and I'd get there at 6:30 and think I'd been out, but he'd be sitting there on the porch with his coffee and his Bible and just looking to the Lord for guidance in every bit of the day. And we'd start to talk, and we'd spend time just talking about our families for a long time. Oftentimes we'd start to get cold, and we'd be like, let's go inside. And Jay would say, no, we gotta stay out here. We gotta see the sunrise. And it was like, he was just waiting, because he knew that God was sending that sunrise, and it seemed like it was just for him. I was looking through some old things, and found a letter that Jay and his family wrote from Honduras, 2006. And just thought that he would want it shared with you. This is a lesson I am learning and hope to learn each day for the rest of my life. To set my own fears, discomfort, and desires aside. Step beyond my plans and trust God. The times I've allowed God to use me and have tried to be fully open to Him have been a blessing. Conversations begin, laughs are shared, and relationships grow. And we are blessed. Amazing how God chooses to use us for His purpose and then blesses us as well. He is good. And Jay knew that, and he believed that.
And Jay was a superstar to me. Jay and Todd and Keith were the closest thing I have to big brothers. I have two wonderful sisters, but those three guys were my big brothers. And Jay and I, being a couple years apart, birthdays one day apart, we got to share birthdays at Farrell's. And Jay being a couple years older than me and smarter, stronger, faster, cooler than me, I was always trying to keep up with Jay. Never able to keep up with him at any point. And as a big brother, I tried to keep up with a big brother that I wished lived in the same house with me. There's so many things that Jay challenged me with and showed me. And, we're building a tree fort, and he's the first one to drop a sheet of plywood on my head. First time I had the wind knocked out of me, Jay was associated with that. And first time we got to clean fish, Jay was there. And it was kind of more mutilating fish than cleaning fish. We're on a playground, and we're on the top of a slide, and we're looking at some poor lady just sitting on the swing. She's like 25, and I don't know, maybe she was mourning the loss of a loved one. And we're kind of going, why does that lady get off the swing? She's not even swinging. Jay's like, hey, Sig, I'll take care of it. Hey, lady, why don't you get off that swing? Us kids want to swing on it. And he goes, Sig, don't say that. The lady's looking at me and she's like, I'm sorry. And she walks off into the sunset. So yeah, I always wanted to be like Jay, but it wasn't always necessarily in a positive way. Usually it was. Jay and Keith came out to our wedding and brought Bethany and Ryan when they were little folks. And I never told you guys this actually, but you guys actually saved our wedding before, you saved our marriage before it began, because that was the day before our wedding. We got in our first really big fight. And you guys helped me move my wife's stuff out of her house into our garage. So that was I thanked you, but that was a bigger deal than you realized. Thanks for saving my marriage. And we're still married now after all these years. So thanks for that. And last summer we had a family reunion. Jay and Susie always put on these awesome family reunions, and every time I'd be going, man, your kids are so perfect and wonderful, and man, my kid's that perfect and wonderful. My Jay was talking to me, and I realized just in the last few days that he was my hero. I always wanted to be like him at every step, whether I was 5 years old or 15 years old or 40 years old. And last summer we were talking, and Jay's talking about Agua Viva, of course, and we both had an interest in aviation, and Jay got to be the pilot, I got to be the guy that fixes them, so nothing wrong with that, but being a pilot's cooler, of course. But we were talking about it, and he was talking about his decisions he's made in life and how he loves his kids, and he said, flying is cool, I love airplanes, I love flying, but what better way to spend your life than providing water for people that desperately need it? And more importantly, providing living water through Jesus Christ. What better way is there to spend all your time and energy in your life doing? And so, yeah, I wanted to be like Jay. Jay is my hero, and he's obviously a role model, and somebody else said it, I think Kay said it, the way he cared for everybody he came into contact with, and everybody feels like I had a really special relationship with Jay. Everybody did. And that's who Jay was, so hands off to you guys. You guys are awesome and wonderful, and I want to be the father that Jay was, and the husband that Jay was, and the brother and the son, and thank you all for being who you are. I can see Jay in each one of you.
I'm Luke Palmquist. I had the privilege to be Jay's nephew, still am. Just want to share just some memories. It was just kind of some time that me and Jay got to spend alone that we didn't always get. But so Jay had a group of buddies up in Michigan. We'd spend about a week, 2 weeks together. All our families would be up there. Jay had a couple buddies of his that would wake up and they'd go play tennis in the morning. They'd play doubles together, and a couple times they needed an extra guy. And Jay would ask me if I wanted to go with the night before, and I'd be like, Mom, I'm going to play with Jay in the morning and all the guys, I was excited. I get to go play with the big guys for once, and wake up 8 in the morning. It felt a lot earlier than that. I was used to waking up at like 2 in the summer. I'd get up, Jay would be all ready to go. He'd have his cup of coffee, and me and him would just walk down to the courts together, and we'd always be on the same team, and it was just something that I'll never forget, and I miss him so much, and can't wait to see him again.
All right. We've talked a lot these last few days. I'm Dave Palmquist, and I'm Jay's brother-in-law for 30 years. Amazing. And I'm just going to be real quick. But as Luke said, we loved him very much. I love Bob so much. Knowing the Substads for 30 years. And Keith being my very best friend in college. Never knowing that his little brother would be my brother-in-law. And the one thing that I keep reminding my Karen's folks is what Jay believed in so much is family. And we loved each other so much. Not many families would spend a week, 2 weeks up in Michigan together, living in tight corners and sitting 15 to 20 people at a table every summer, every night. And it was just never a complaint. We just loved it so much. I always felt inferior to Jay because he could do everything. If there was anything broken in our house, Karen would always say, "Oh, that's right, you can't do it. Let's call Jay." Jay can do everything. And, but he could. I couldn't do anything. Bob would want me to help around the house. He'd go, forget it, Dave, we'll go get Jay. Yeah, it saved my back a little bit though, but Jay just did everything for all of us. And obviously I could write a book about the memories we had, and like Lauren had to wear a kilt today. I'm sure glad we didn't have a bet to wear a tutu, because Jay and I had a few tutu nights that we wore together over the years. But you know, one of the comforting things is, and I'll close, is that like standing in as we were all saying goodbye to Jay on Friday night, none of us go through God sent tribulations and trials in our lives for a reason. And for me personally, as I was standing there, I was thinking, first of all, only Christ can get you through something like this. And I was looking around and looking at Susie, I'm going, amazing family. And that's why when they go back to their places in this world this week, people will say, how do you do it? I do it because of Jesus. And I know personally, I stood there in that room going, oh, if I'm being impacted, think about it. I bet everybody else is going, how can I be a better person? How can I do this? How can I do more? My life will be forever changed because of this, this tragedy. But yet there's going to be victory in this. And I just love this in my life now, and I know many of you, I find comfort in this. As chaotic as it has been since Friday night, I love that. I'm so glad that I'm not in control and that Jesus is, because I would really mess things up. And